You're not. Perfect. Good evening. Welcome to the Augusta School Department Policy Meeting of December 1st, 2025. We're starting the meeting at 6:32 p.m. We'll start with introductions. I'll start with myself, Stacey Fortunato, Ward 1 Chair, and I'll go to my left.
Susan Parks, Ward 2.
Janine Ross, Business Manager. Shelby Thibodeau, Assistant Superintendent.
Mike Tracy, Superintendent.
Martha Witham, ex officio member of the committee.
Michelle Werner, Administrative Assistant. Katie McCormick, Ward 4.
James Orby, Ward 3, and member of the committee.
Charlie Hicks, at large.
Sam Baker, school member-elect Ward 1.
April Dearvoice, at large, member of the committee.
Joe Guichard, School Board Elect, Ward 4.
John Reynolds, at large.
And these are 3 guests.
Principal Point. Junior McDonald, Principal MSC.
Thank you. Before we begin, I'm just going to say a quick thing. It's this being my last policy committee meeting. I just wanted to say a few words that I've enjoyed being the chair for the past 9 years, and whoever becomes the chair next, I'll be watching you. And no, I'm kidding. I wish success. I think the policy committee is one of the, even though it seems like people think that what we do is kind of minutia and things like that. There's a lot to creating a policy, and there's a lot of information that's constantly changing. So I found it just really exciting and very educational myself to learn more about what happens within a policy and how sometimes just one word or how things are changed throughout the years, how much it can make a difference to students and staff in our community. So I just wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to serve and appreciate all the work that's been done. I think we've done some good things over the past several years with policies and bringing things up to date, and the continued updating that we do on a, as much as we can, basis to make sure everything's up to date using more language and things like that is really important. So thank you all for being here, and so proud. So we get 450 change. So thank you. Anyway, side topic. All right, so tonight we will start with policy BEDH, public participation at board meetings, and that is attached to your agenda. And I'm assuming that this is policy that has been vetted by our attorneys, this is correct?
This is the policy update from your work at your workshop last
Okay.
month. And everything that we added.
Okay.
Outside of, I took the liberty to add definitions to item D in your policy. That's the only thing I haven't vetted by the attorneys. Otherwise, everything was a recommendation by the attorneys.
The only thing I could not locate, and if someone else saw it, great, I didn't see in our previous BEDH, there was a post and there was a message there about only speaking one time during the allocated time. I don't see that here anymore. But they only let us speak once during that comment period. I didn't see that in here. Was that in there?
I don't think that was a requirement from our attorneys.
No, it was in our old policy. I just didn't know if that was carrying over. That was the only question I
I
had.
don't believe so.
Okay. Yes.
No.
Committee members first, remember.
Yes, April?
I'm reading through the policy, and obviously we're great. I want to work with it. I have, seeking clarification on one piece. Letter E on page 2. The part that says individuals who speak naturally rather than presenting pre-audio, recorded audio. We sat in an education meeting, and one of the things that came to light that I was unaware of, and this gives me pause, is this particular piece I'm concerned will make it impossible for our ESOL parents to be able to use translation services, pre-recorded translation services to speak if they choose to speak, not that they have, but it eliminates that. And then materials and visual aids require prior board approval. I feel like that's opening the door to challenge them to find ways. I'm going to give an example. This is an example that I think happened with the school board in 1992. I don't know if Mr. Tracy was in the school at the time. There had been a policy that the administration decided when we could wear shorts. And of course, that would impact females because we wore short skirts and dresses and sports were in style at the time. And there was one specific student that found a loophole and he wore kilt to school. So I'm afraid that, you know, by writing that in, we put a loophole, we challenge, people, to find ways to find a loophole. Just my two concerns.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want me to respond to that
Yes,
or,
please.
I think Member Dan Boyce brings up a great point. I do remember, I remember the kilt as well back then. But anyway, in item E, this is where I tried to take, do you remember when we said people won't do this, they don't do that, don't do this, don't approach the bench, don't use props, don't do something. I tried to take that and use a way to make it translate into a positive statement, like you get up and speak naturally at the podium. So this is me just trying to do what I thought the board wanted me to do. Obviously, the board can massage this. We would have to remain ADA compliant. So if someone were to come up with a translation device, we would have to allow that anyway. But we could add that to policy, like ADA compliant translation devices would be allowed, for
I just
example.
wanted to make sure that that stuff was put forward in my thought process.
Good comment.
Yeah, I just, as far as what, Member Gamboa said, the interpretation is a spontaneous activity. It's not something that's pre-recorded. That would happen at the meeting in real time. So I don't think that having parents who have a dominant language other than English would fall into that category.
Stacy,
Sorry,
just
board chair with them.
Just for ease, would it help if we started at the beginning and went through it in order? That just always helps me if we go through the things step by step as questions arise.
So start the biggest changes in section 2. Updates. Yes?
Just before you get into that, to April's point about ADA compliance, if somebody has anxiety and they need to record their speech, type their speech up, record it, and have it be in the Siri voice or something, there's just a serious overstep of us trying to clamp down on people that now they need to declare some kind of an exemption because they want to play a recording. It's just not, I mean, go ahead, but the lawsuits are going to line up after that. I just can't even. But also to Susan's point about transcription, translation, yes, that can be a live thing, but then somebody, again, could also put their words together and have it be spoken out as a recording. It's not always live, I wouldn't say. So before you got off that, I just wanted to share that context so people can think about that. And while we're moving on, sorry to interrupt.
All right, so so the first paragraph's largely unchanged. Second paragraph, we limited public forum. School will provide appropriate opportunities at this meeting for members to comment on school education matters. I think we all pretty much agreed on that. I just go into that until someone has a concern.
I would.
Okay. Let's see. Paragraph 3, members of the public may speak on school and education matters except that comments regarding specific student matters or personnel matters will not be permitted as specified below. And then A, the following guidelines, the public are welcome. Is it are welcome or is?
Public forum.
We vote. Either edit.
Yeah, what do you want me to do?
Members of the public,
Member Parks?
public is.
Am I saying is or
I
are?
think it could be both.
Okay.
But
Doesn't matter, yeah.
I'll look it up.
Okay,
Prior will be given to Augusta residents and school employees. individual employees and or employee constructed to discuss matters. Those addressing the board need to state their name and municipality where they live for the record. Formally C.
Yeah, we can take the formally C out.
Okay.
I just wanted you to know where it was coming
Sure.
from.
The board requires a person's interested in speaking to sign up to be called on in a fair, efficient manner, and individuals will list whether they are a parent, employee, or member of the public.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why did we put parent in there? Because before it said employee or member
Should
of
be
the public.
resident. I think that was a discussion, someone had a question specific about that. Should parents of the district be allowed to speak first?
Because there were, sorry,
Shelby?
There are parents that don't live in Augusta.
that,
Right. So if we're gonna say Augusta okay.
I got you.
Sean?
So,
Oh, sorry, member Reynolds?
Thank you.
I'm never gonna get that right.
and just not a member of the committee, just as a school board member, we had spoken about presenting a different sign-in sheet. Was that ever looked into more? So that way, in the sign-in sheet, they would be able to, the chair would be able to know on while you're reading. Is that?
Correct. So the new sign-in sheet would have the name, role, and the role would be parent, employee, or member of the public. And someone could be all three.
Good.
Someone could be just one from a different town. So their town will be listed along with the category, so that on that list, the chair could discriminate based on those things.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The board will limit time allotted for comments on a particular topic to 1 hour during this allocated time, excuse me. Individuals may speak for up to 3 minutes.
Question?
Yes?
Ding, ding, ding. I'm just wondering, is the intent of this policy, is this because you put public comment on agenda and non-agenda items together as one agenda item now, right? It's just public comment. Before, a person could speak in each category,
Mhm.
meaning that someone could speak twice. And this one says that they'll now be limited to 3 minutes. So if they have 2 things to speak on, do they have to fit them both into their 3 minutes? Just a question that I anticipate.
James?
Well,
Board member Moore?
The intent, Madam Chair, was that we talked about an hour, but it was gonna be split 30 minutes between the 2 different things, or 45, 20, however it was all working out. But if people had to speak on 2 different things, there's 2 different sign-up sheets, so that could be 6 minutes.
I didn't understand it to be that way because we had talked about the confusion of having 2 sheets and how that was a challenge to figure that out on who was doing what, because people didn't understand that they needed to sign up in both places. That wasn't my understanding on how that fell. That's why I had that question.
Same, I was thinking we were putting it all under public comment, so there wasn't confusion, because there is multiple times where people come up and say, I don't know if this is a non-agenda item or this is a audience participant, audience agenda item. So I think that was my understanding as well.
Yeah, the agenda was changed to
Correct.
have
Just
just
public
one,
comment.
one section. But to member Orr's point, the policies are silent on speaking twice. So therefore, if I fit those categories and we're still within the 1 hour,
Mhm.
and I wanted to speak again, I technically could speak twice according to how the way the policies are written. As long as we're within, so if I have a topic for 3 minutes, I want to speak as a parent, and there's still open comment time, and I want to speak again as an employee or resident for 3 more minutes, it doesn't cap that
Right,
within that. So what you're doing is you've got, what you're categorizing is you've got 1 hour for the public to come out and speak. Then you're categorizing people by where they live, whether they're an employee, a resident, or a parent. And then the chair's job will be to discern what order that those people will speak. And you could have a condition, I think, where someone could speak twice, unless you put in language that all individuals will have 1 opportunity to speak. You could add that.
that was my question, I guess. I had the same, understanding as well. So maybe that's something we need to tack and look at that a little easier. Yes, Morgan James? Or,
So I thought on the business meeting agenda, that under agenda, I think number 19, it's broken
Put 'em
down to two
together.
different things. But it's two different pieces, you have an A and a B, is it not?
Not anymore.
It's not, okay,
I think it's just public comment.
Just public comment.
okay.
But what you did increase it to the hour because you had basically 30 minutes for each, so.
I was saying. So I'm looking at, like, this is a move from RSU 21. The board will include a general public comment period of up to 30 minutes on the agenda of its regular business meetings. The board may extend this period in 15-minute increments by a majority weighted vote of the members present and voting. Individual comments during the general public comment period are limited to 3 minutes each. Each individual may provide one comment per general public comment period. Speakers may not relinquish any portion of their time to another individual. Yes.
As the chair, my comment would be, if you allow people to speak more than once and you still haven't used your hour, are people going to be allowed to speak 3 times if they have 3 things they want to talk about? But now we're up to 9 minutes? And how does that get controlled?
I mean,
I'm throwing out there.
it does say in B, individuals may speak for up to 3 minutes. I guess that could be interpreted as one individual gets 3 minutes. But that's really up to the board and the chair's discernment on that.
That would be easier to do.
What was that? Can you repeat that?
That would be easier to do if everybody gets to speak once.
That's what I was thinking. So, yes, board member McCormick?
The sentence right before that in B said that the board will limit time allotted for comments on a particular topic to 1 hour. So that means 1 hour for buses, 1 hour for language, 1 hour for that. So that needs to change.
So that should say the board will limit public comment
Yes.
to 1 hour.
Good catch.
Good
So-
for something.
Should we add something about once? Do we? Looking at my committee.
I think that if we leave it as simple as possible, that will be, if it says the board will limit a lot of time for all comments to 1 hour during this allotted time, individuals may speak for up to 3 minutes. I think that's very clear. It's very decisive, it's very clear, it's very simple. Public comments is 1 hour, and they have 3 minutes per person. That's it.
So we speak once.
Yep, and I started looking at other board agendas. And one of them, their public comment is just public comment, it doesn't specify what the public
Right.
comment is.
Just says each individual may provide one comment per general public.
We could put
Period.
each individual. If
Yeah.
we wanted to change it, we could do
And then
during.
do we want to add some about relinquishing time to someone else? That happened at a meeting and
It did,
it got.
It did.
What happened, Stacy?
Relinquishing time,
It's against Robert's rules.
correct.
It's
So do
clearly.
you not want to put, we don't have to put in here, but I think if we put in individual comments during the general public comment period are limited to 3 minutes, each individual may provide one comment per general public comment period. And that,
I think we need to spell it out if
but
because
not
we've-
seating time.
we've allowed, it's been allowed in the past, I think we're revising it.
Relinquishing time.
I think we need to just put it in there, that, time will not be allowed to be relinquished to somebody else.
You could. That's what we're looking for. I'm just showing him the in that policy, but I agree with April. I think it's happened in the past, and even though it's Robert's rules, I think it'd be better to have it in black and white myself. Or, anything you'd like to add, James?
Nope, not this time.
On that part?
I agree with you and April about putting it in policy about not having the possibility of relinquishing or ceding time to another speaker.
So if you're not following along online, I can reread what I corrected this to. Okay, item B says B, the board will limit the allotted, the board will limit time allotted for public comment to 1 hour. During the allocated time, each individual may speak for up to 3 minutes. One individual may not yield their time to another individual.
May speak once.
Simple.
Individuals will not.
Individuals will not yield their time to others. Okay?
What about each individual may speak once for up to 3 minutes?
Yeah, we have that.
Okay.
Stacy?
Yes, Member Parks?
Back to A, I checked, it should be the public is.
Thank you.
Okay. Member McCord?
Something that might fit in B, but honestly might go somewhere else. I'm not sure. There's a lot of it on the next page. I'm curious about if a public commenter gets interrupted, like somebody calls a point of order or something happens, there's a ruckus in the room and we have to stop. Do they get their full time back? Do they get part of their time back? I just want to make this as consistent as possible so that, we don't have different variations of that. What would be best for the chair?
I would wait until you had a way to do it. Like we talked about, I think Caitlin was gonna look in and see if we could put a clock up on those TVs on the sides so that everybody could see it and there would be a button where you could pause it. But to put it in here and try to to do it when you don't have a way to do it, I think would cause problems. So once we get a way to do it, I think people will just be able to see that when something happens, you push the button, the clock stops, everybody sees the clock stops. And then when you may continue, you push the button again. Rather than put it in there and then say, oh, we don't have a way to do that.
Member Orr?
Okay, so I guess clarification on this is we can't put it in policy because we don't have the system to put it in the policy. But if I'm understanding you correct, that if somebody goes to speak and there's a point of order or something else that's going on, then you're gonna stop the time. And they're gonna be able to still be able to retain their 3 minutes of speaking.
Because the time is stopped.
Because we've done that.
We've tried to do that, but the speaker still can't see it.
Right.
I think that must be frustrating for the speaker to not know. Yeah.
Well, Rita has been a timekeeper, right, for this, so Rita, there is a pause button on a phone to do that, but I know that you're saying that the speaker cannot see that. So,
We're still gonna do it
yeah.
as best we've been doing it. I just think before you put it in a policy, you ought to have a really good way for people to understand and not challenge you on how much time they have left.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. All right. Moving on to C. During the time set aside for public participation, the chair will be responsible for recognizing all speakers who must identify themselves as they begin talking. Speakers will be allowed to speak on school and education matters regardless of their consent. And D, sorry, speakers are not permitted to make defamatory comments or use abusive or obscene language that disrupts the orderly running of the meeting. Speakers may not use profanity which disrupts the orderly running of the meeting. Speakers may not threaten others or engage in any behavior that disrupts the orderly running of the meeting. Examples of disruptive behavior including interrupting other speakers and exceeding the allotted time or after a reminder from the chair. I think that chair should be capitalized. Defamatory means false information harms someone's reputation. Abusive language refers to words or speech that are intended to harm, insult, demean, or intimidate someone. It's communication. It's communication that attacks. It is communication that attacks, degrades, or threatens rather than expresses ideas. Obscene refers to words or expressions that are offensive or indecent, typically related to sexual content, bodily functions, or threatening means expressing an intention or creating a reasonable expectation that harm will come to someone. A threat communication that something bad will happen to a person, their loved ones, their property, I can't remember losing my space, or other interests, often to intimidate, coerce, or insult. I mean, those are all, I'm assuming, right from the dictionary, so they're all descriptions, so if anyone has a concern about what it means, it's all there. Member Orr?
So are we gonna have our attorney at our board meeting every time? So if somebody does a point of order and says that something is a defamatory remarks, that we're gonna have a lawyer that is actually gonna be able to explain if it is defamatory or not? Because who's gonna be the supposed objective one that's gonna say that something is false information? Somebody might say something that you might not know or might not be aware of. Doesn't mean that it's false, you just don't know it. So who's gonna say something's defamatory?
Technically, according to policy, your chair would be the first person managing this. And then if the board were to disagree with the chair, then you could appeal the decision of the chair. So ultimately, the board's going to govern this policy.
Moving on to E, all speakers who remain behind the podium when speaking and are to address the chair. Individuals who speak naturally rather than presenting pre-recorded audio. Materials and visual aids require prior board approval. I'm assuming, should we put from the chair? Is it coming from the chair or is it coming from the board? Are we voting?
Material, I mean, again, you can put the chair in there. The chair is going to be the one making that determination for the board in this case.
I think they would put chair because someone might not reach out to the chair. They might say, I'm going to bring this to the meeting, and they reach out to one person. They say, sure, bring it, and then you can't have it. Requests for information or concern that require further research may be referred to the superintendent to be addressed at a later time. ADA compliance would be allowed, such in the case of translation. Does that satisfy that concern you had?
Repeat it again.
ADA compliance would be allowed, such in the case of translation, such as in the case of translation. For translation services, cases of translation.
The challenge is we can't ask. We can't ask. Somebody says they have an ADA compliance, we can't ask them. We have to allow them.
Correct, but if they're bringing, if they require someone there to interpret for them, we have to know that ahead of time, so we provide that, correct? If that's something, is that allowed?
Yes, unless the person came in and they have a speech impediment, so they can't speak.
Right.
They pre-recorded
Right,
something. In those cases, April's right.
We
It
can't
would
ask
go
them.
back to what our attorney said, which would be, when in doubt, let them speak in those kinds of cases.
okay. So then,
Stacy,
yes,
I have a problem with saying translation services come under ADA. Just because I can't speak English doesn't mean I have a disability.
correct, right. Member Parks?
I would just reiterate that the Americans with Disabilities Act does not include language minority status or multi-language learners. If they have a disability in addition to their language minority status, then that would be an ADA issue. But and when you have, when somebody comes in, they need to speak Spanish, and they need an interpreter. It's not a translation. A translation is of a document. when you're speaking Spanish and someone is interpreting that into English and vice versa, that's an interpretation. So, we need to use the correct things, but absolutely ADA needs to apply to people who have a disability or are unable to speak naturally during the public comment period. And that can include somebody with throat cancer and they need to use the special device. It could apply to anyone under section 504.
If somebody has an ADA requirement, it's none of our business what it actually is. But also, I have seen meetings where somebody calls in and asks their friend to hold their phone up to the microphone so that they can speak because they can't leave their house or some other thing. Like, you guys are really getting in the weeds on this one, and I don't think it's okay. But, so I'll just give you that example as something that you might want to wordsmith because I've seen it in a local district.
So I think we'll have to look at E a little closer, I'm assuming. Yes, well, sounds like that's the will of the committee. F, speech that is a personally directed attack on a person or group of people based on their race, color, ancestry, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, disability, religion, or age, and is less likely to provoke or incite violence or imminent lawless action will not be permitted during public comment.
Madam Chair, I think this ought to be struck. Shouldn't be in there at all, because it goes against the First Amendment. Just because somebody says something that you don't like, doesn't mean that people can't say it.
There is a big difference between saying that somebody is saying something that you don't like versus somebody saying something that's discriminatory. And these are the list of discriminations.
I guess I'd like to see what the vetting process looks like. We get this Ember.
I don't understand the part that says disability, religion, or and is less likely to provoke, or is likely?
More likely, yes. We're assuming is likely to provoke, take out less.
I don't get that as less likely to provoke.
How about it is likely
Is likely,
and is
yeah.
likely?
Yeah.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
throwing me.
So speak, hold on a second.
So it just kind of make you mad by making violent?
Okay.
That will help
I
you.
don't know what we did there, but okay.
Stacy,
Ember, Reynolds.
So this wasn't previously in any of our things, it's all red, so that's newly,
Yeah,
potentially,
our attorneys put this in.
that's what I was gonna ask
Right,
next, okay.
right.
Yeah.
And with the attorney placing that in there, is that based off of a main state law or based off what they feel?
Well, these are the same discriminatory categories in Maine law.
That's why I was like, because one of them will co-reflect a different than a federal law, and that's the thing that I was thinking about.
Correct.
And the attorneys believe this is the safer one to go with.
Abided by state law.
Thank you.
Member Orr?
Thank you. I'd just like to add that fire completely took it out. Because again, that's just trying to put a definition on something that people consider to be hate speech. But there's legally no definition of what hate speech is, just because you don't like it.
We have our own attorneys though, and our attorneys that we employ, and our attorneys gave us this information. So me, I guess I would tend to listen to that and take that advice. Appreciation for fire, but I would take that from our attorneys that we work with. Members of the board and superintendent may ask questions of any person who addresses the board, but are expected to refrain from arguing or debating issues with the speaker. Questions must be addressed through the chair. During public comment, members of the public may not make a complaint or raise allegations regarding a particular student. Members of the public may also not comment on personal matters such as the hiring, promotion, demotion, evaluation, disciplining, resignation, or dismissal of a district employee, a complaint, investigation, or hearing of charges regarding a district employee, or the personal history, general character, or conduct of a district employee. During public comment, members of the public may not comment about such personnel matters in either a negative or positive manner. Complaints regarding students or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent or other appropriate administrator outside of the board meeting, so they can be addressed through established policies and procedures. That follows everything we already have about the chain of ladder and complaints. Yes.
I know what that sentence is trying to do, but I'm not sure it is. Is this the sentence that you want to say you can't say anything good or bad about anybody?
Correct.
So when you read it, I'm not sure that's what you get from that sentence. During public comment, members of the public may not comment about such personnel matters in either a negative or positive way. I think that's where so I think it's referring back to hiring, promotion, demotion, evaluation, disciplining. And I think we've said during public comment, they shouldn't make any remarks about personnel, either positive or negative. I thought that's what I heard, but
Yeah, I think that's what it's saying. I think that is.
if everybody else understands it, I'm good with it then. It just was confusing to
And then
me.
we've agreed that during recognitions,
Right,
the agenda is a
Right.
place where someone could be edified at a meeting.
everyone else is good on that.
I guess I just want to give you a for instance on this one, because for instance, if a principal wears an ICE costume, and didn't a recent district hold like a 2-hour meeting where people talked about that? Like, didn't that just happen?
Yes.
But we're saying that won't happen here. Correct?
I'm not,
sure. I'm not sure what you getting at? I'm confused.
So if the public came, like they did in Farmington, to discuss the costume situation, we would shut that down, we would not allow it. And that's what I'm asking, correct, based on this
Based
paragraph?
on that, correct.
The only thing I can think of, Katie, I don't know enough about that instance. It depends how they put it on the agenda. It might not have been just public comment. It might have been actually some kind of an agenda item. I don't know it well enough to know what they did.
so just to clarify, to Member McCormick's point, we could have a 2-hour meeting about whether ICE costumes on our employees are appropriate or not. We could do that. And if it were happening in our district, I would structure it for our discussion to be, just like I would always tell you, you can talk about teachers falling asleep at the high school, you just can't say Mrs. Smith is falling asleep at the high school. Like I always use it.
Right.
Thank God there's no Mrs. Smith in our high school. But the point is, we can talk about ICE costumes on employees, we just can't talk about the employee. That would be how I would handle that situation under this requirement. And again, I think when we got a recommendation, fire, we did like 80% of what they recommended. Our attorneys agreed with a lot of what they said. When it came to dealing with students and teachers in Maine, we disagreed.
Right.
So that's why this is in here. And again, it doesn't, what even Brian Isaacson, who are our school attorneys, have said in matters that are a matter of the public. So if we had teachers sleeping at our high school or our school employees wearing ICE costumes, we would have to allow our public to talk about that.
Right.
We would. It's just a matter of we couldn't cite anybody by specific name. That's the difference.
Then we get to K, members of the public must remain in areas designated for the public only. School board business is expected to be conducted in an orderly fashion, and persons who disrupt the meeting may be asked to leave, and the chair may request law enforcement assistance as necessary to restore.
But I think I tried to capture everything
Yeah.
that you folks asked. I can absolutely go back and re-explore E. Sounded like we didn't have enough general agreement around that bullet point. I can rerun that through our school attorneys.
Good to do that, committee? Send it back to leave it a little bit more?
Yeah, we are.
So, yes,
Can I ask that as long, you're gonna run the whole policy by him too, Mike?
I'm gonna give this to them
Okay.
and ask them to re-explore it, and maybe make some suggestions around E.
can I get a motion to table this for further discussion?
I need a motion to table.
Rachel, is there a second? June? Moved in second, any further discussion?
Just a point of order,
Yes.
you shouldn't say you're
Oh, I'm
gonna.
so sorry. Not tabled for further discussion, tabled to the next meeting, I'm
There
sorry,
you go.
tabled to January. We moved in second, did any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. 3-0, thank you. All right, moving on.
You could do the next two together.
Yes, that's great. This was a newly created one that was in response to the audit findings, correct, around student activities fund. Just clarifying,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Does this one help us with it?
Oh, yes, okay.
So, DFF Student Activities Funds, that was already in place and I didn't have any suggested changes to that policy. DFF-R, that was also already in place, and I just recommended an addition based on the audit finding to specify, specific documents needed for scholarship disbursements, which is letter E under DFF-R. Because there was general documentation for an activity fund submission, but nothing specifically for scholarship disbursements.
Questions? Anybody?
I'm good with it.
You're good, April? Do you guys want to take a motion to accept the agenda adjustments to DFFR?
I'll make a motion to accept as changed.
I second.
Do we move to our first reading with updated language, or can we just review?
This should go from here to the board,
Okay.
and I would.
For first,
First
should.
Yes, sir, first reading.
So so we can just put DFF-R though, so not making changes to DFF, we can just repeat that one, okay. So there was a motion, is there a second, April?
I have a second.
Second, thank you. Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none? Thank you so much, okay. Cell phones and other personal electronic devices in schools. So I see there's some changes, language, correct?
Yeah, you want me to tee this up?
Sure.
Okay. Really quickly, there was a law change this year that said school departments must have a cell phone policy. I think I updated you folks all on that. We had a cell phone policy in existence already, so we already meet the law. I basically went through this really quickly, and I think I added a legal reference, and I changed number 4 on the second page under E to discipline instead of penalties, and added some new dates. So we can certainly do more than that if you're interested in changing it, and Mrs. Liscombe's here as our high school person to talk about the practicality of what we do with cell phones, but sky's the limit, what's your pleasure?
Like, does this give you more, I mean, I'm assuming is it, even though it's one word different, I'm assuming that's.
I will just say that it's been an incredible process to eliminate cell phones in our school. We were one of the early adopters on this. Basically, there was a request from our teachers saying that they were really struggling to keep engagement in students. As part of our Innovative Schools leadership team, it kind of funneled up from various subcommittees. And so we decided to take it on probably 3 years ago under the cell phone policy at the time. And basically the cell phone policy at the time said that there was a cell phone zone in the food court. And so that we kind of used that, but then said that it's no longer available in the classrooms. We sent a letter out to families. We kind of went through that process. Initially, we had done like these cell phone caddies, hoping that would work. We initially asked people to put it in their pockets. And there was like definitely some challenges, I think, through the process. But now I think we have a pretty good system set up, and teachers report that significant change in engagement in classes. And also like there's a lot of apps that go on where kids can say things anonymously to this app, and then it goes all throughout the school. And we were having significant peer conflict. I'm not saying peer conflict has gone away, but it was definitely exacerbated by the use of cell phones in the classrooms. And so basically we are in full support of this. How we manage this is basically we had to start creating some guidelines so we could be transparent and also make sure that we had predictable consequences for students. And so we had kind of come up with this frequently asked questions, and then we came up with, all right, on the first 2 times, it means that the cell phone is taken and put into like kind of a, we call it a cell phone jail, but it actually could be like construed as just a little holding place, right? In the main office. And then on the 3rd time, it goes to the same place, and then they're given a detention. 4 goes to the same place again, meet with admin, and the parent must pick it up. And then the 5th time, the parent called, and then we say you can't have your phone for like the rest of the quarter, or at least 4 weeks. And then the 6th time, parent called, and we do a student is suspended for a day. 7th time, the parent called, and the student is suspended for 2 days, and on and on. We tried to make it so that there was ample opportunity for warning. Please know that we sent a letter home. We talked about it in our assemblies, had it, every single class talked about it, to make sure students were not surprised by this. And again, it's been an evolution over a couple of years. Of course, we're playing whack-a-mole, so then what they decide is they get their one cell phone confiscated, and guess what? There's another cell phone that they have in their pocket. And so we've been trying to figure that out, to try to get that. But through the process, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the other schools, is that a whole bunch of schools have banned them completely. They use these yonder pouches. We're pretty satisfied with where we are right now in using the procedure that we have based on the policy. I think we were not wanting to get to the place that we completely banned them, unless you all decide that you want to try to do that and not have them at all, because again, kids can use them before school, during lunch in the food court. They can't use them during lunch anywhere else, just in the food court, and then after school, obviously. And so those are the times that students, they can't use them in the passing in the hallway, can't use them in the classroom, library, various other things like that. So, anyway, I guess that's where I would land on it, where we think it's the greatest thing in the world to be able to help students stay focused in the classroom.
Thank you. Chair?
I just had one thing, and it's not to, if you look at A, at the last part of A, it says, students are prohibited from using privately owned electronic devices at school except when the teacher or building principal authorizes the use for a specific educational, health, or safety purpose. But then C says, school administrators may designate appropriate times and places during which electronic devices may be used. So somehow those should be tied together. Because one, it says you can only use it for a specified education, but then it says Well, maybe you can.
Yeah, A is like, if like, for example, I
I get-
have diabetes, and so like I use my cell phone. So if a kid is low, they need to be able to check their low, okay? So that would relate to that. C refers to that we're gonna say food court during lunch.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So they're kind of two different things. If there was something that, like merited,
Well, I was just thinking like where it says, where when the teacher or building principal authorizes for a specific educational purpose, like, okay, everybody bring your cell phones to class tomorrow because we're gonna be doing some kind of an activity that's gonna require cell phones. So that's not the school administrators designating it, that's giving the teachers the opportunity, and do the teachers have the opportunity to say that?
what we use for procedure is just that the teachers would ask us if it's okay to do a certain thing, like there's some scavenger hunts that
Right.
use QR codes.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's hard for teenagers to be able to use it sometimes and not other times, so we're trying to limit that, as much as possible, but a teacher would ask if that's okay. Sorry.
Because of the calculator, because sometimes I've heard about that. Like kids, they might not be enough calculators in class, and so use their function calculator in class. And I think kids have them.
Yes. I was gonna make a comment in regards to the other times when teachers would use it. I know that my son has had classes, when he was here, and I have friends that are still here at the school. And there'll be teachers that want them to do a survey. So they send out a survey quickly through social media, and it goes to all parents, it goes to, so they end up doing that. I know that a lot of times we'll send survey monkeys out to students during ramp time to get their feedback for maybe Project Grad or something like that, so.
Thank you.
Member Hicks?
Where it says at-school activities, they don't mean like football games and stuff where, that happen at school, but aren't part of the school day, people use their cell phones there. Is that correct, or?
What one are you looking at?
On A,
In A, it says, was at school or at-school activities.
I will definitely not take on that football game. Or like school dance.
Yeah, it's impossible.
No.
So,
So I don't know what a school activity would be that you would want to manage that, but maybe there is, I don't know.
Well, field trips out to St. Big Bear time,
Yeah,
when Mrs. Dell would take one.
yeah, that's a good idea. Aspiration day activities.
But I would leave it there only
It's
because hypothetically, if a significant cell phone violation were to occur at a football game, and then the athletic director became aware of that, we wanted in policy so that the AD could deal with it if he needed to. Not, again, not to say we would do that or
right.
that anybody's looking for that, but if it were to happen, we'd want some policy that supported the AD's ability to manage a significant cell phone violation.
We've had things that happen in the school before. We've used cell phones and cell phone videos to use, I think in the past.
They can use cell phones on the buses?
We don't regulate that. I don't know how we would.
There's not motors in the bus. It's just the driver.
Right.
Except for kids who have, there might be sometimes kids who might have some, but they're not. Questions? The updates, is there, again, we added the legal language, we had to make sure we could get that word first, we needed our motion to read this.
Gosh, you could almost not have to.
Yeah, this
You don't have to.
This one will be more of a clerical update,
Okay.
and because there's nothing of substance, unless you folks,
With the, not even the legal.
we could just say
Okay.
it's been read, and I'll put the date on it, which is there.
Okay.
And we could leave it alone if you guys vote to just accept the clerical
The
update.
legal reference is just the fact that we have to have a cell phone.
Correct, which we already do.
Can I just share one more thing, is that the student council invited me to a meeting where they were trying to look at study halls and like maybe, we're contemplating, could it be possible that we use the cell phones in study halls? And that, has had mixed reviews, so it's kind of in limbo right now. Because the student council's interested in that, but then the teachers might be worried about the slippery slope related to that. So at this point, I just want to alert you, I'm kind of waiting for it to either grow legs or maybe, I don't know, I'm just kind of seeing what's going on here and letting it kind of fester for a bit and see if there's a push either way. We'll go with the consensus where I don't know. But I just want to let you know that that's been a proposal that.
Thank you. Any further discussion on JICJ? All right, chronic absenteeism assessment.
So, as part of the dropout prevention cabinet, we came with a recommendation as part of that committee to develop a chronic absenteeism policy. Because as of today, our rate is 23% at the district of chronically absent students, which, as you heard me talk about it in my last presentation, about affecting test scores, grades, yada. So part of the law has changed that requires a district that is missing 10% or more, or that has an absentee rate of more than 10%. By statute, you have to establish what we call an attendance review team. So when I started digging through to see what the policies are out there. So it's PL 2023 C480. You want the statutory language. Regardless, it can be an attendance review team or a school level committee. What we have historically done in this district is address it through the dropout prevention cabinet. We review attendance rates and all of those things. What I want to do is come to you with a policy that coincides not only with our attendance, we have an attendance, it's JEAA, and then we have JHB, which is our truancy, but this would fall somewhere in between. This would talk about how we're going to monitor the attendance, which we already do. It talks about the difference between truancy and then what would be our levels of that multi-tiered systems of support. So what would happen at the tier 1 level, tier 2 level, tier 3 level, things we're already talking about. Really what I'm looking at, and I'll be taking back to the dropout prevention cabinet, is do we need to create a separate team that only addresses attendance? Part of me thinks that we do it through the dropout prevention cabinet already, and with part of the reintegration specialist position, that it would be our district attendance coordinator. But by statutory, we have to designate that person and that team as fulfilling that responsibility.
So a quarter of our students are chronically absent.
How are you defining chronically absent?
Chronically absent is 10% of the school day, so by 20 years. So if there's 180 school days for a student, this is 18 days they're considered chronically absent, whether that's excused or not. Now truancy is if they're grade 6 and below, it's 7 days for the year, and then 10 days for grade 7 to 12. That's truancy, that's not excused absence. It's chronically absent is, I could have a parent call in and say, I'm sick, I'm on vacation, I'm whatever, I'm just absent.
Those aren't
roughly 4
verified.
months,
That's correct.
it could be verified, but it's chronically absent. So, right now, I think we have 496 students that were considered chronically absent.
That's district-wide.
District-wide as of today.
Well, that's a funny number because the more days of school there are, the harder it is to be chronically absent because there's more days.
But we want to look at it quarterly, like, so that you can see that there's, I see what you're saying, but it does give us an indication of, is there a number of students that took the Monday, Tuesday prior to Thanksgiving?
Right.
Is it, around vacations or your long holidays, you know, what is the pattern?
Right.
And that would really what that attendance review team / dropout prevention cabinet would be looking at.
Right, from digging down into the.
How often does the dropout cabinet meet?
Well, that's the issue. is that,
Oh.
you know,
It just meets.
Quarterly.
Oh,
So
And by policy, it's gonna have to meet monthly, or do you not know?
by policy, we can do it based on, you can have the members of the committee to review it. So you have your deans review it, your principals review it. We could still have that conversation at those quarterly meetings, but deans and principals or whoever we designate as part of that team would have to be doing, which they do anyway.
I guess.
But this would provide the structure, the policy would provide the structure for that.
Just seems to me if there was something else pressing that was affecting 23% of our kids, we'd be meeting more often than quarterly. And there would be much more heightened awareness around that. So I feel like that definitely needs to be considered to meet more often and as soon as possible. Because it feels like this is definitely turning into something snowballing, especially if we're 13% over than what the state allows. Board Member McCormick?
I understand the role of dropout prevention committee in this conversation, but I really feel like if a group of people is going to get together to talk about why certain students are absent, it should be either within the school or within the team, like the middle school has Cadillac and something, other mountain, right? Stacy?
For Sugarloaf, Cadillac.
Right, so shouldn't those advisors be meeting to talk about the children that they have, you know? And
They do.
then if you,
They are,
okay.
okay. Oh, go ahead, finish.
So we have it, but we didn't have a policy to structure it. So really, this is like a draft, I don't know if anybody else. So really kind of draft, what ended up happening is I started digging around to see what policies are out there and then realized that it was, we need to do it by law because we're at that percentage. So you can have school level attendance review teams, which we do. But we don't have a policy that structures it. And we have to have the policy by statute.
The defined period.
What do you want to do about time, Stacy?
Shelley, are you presenting this to us?
I'm just doing this as a real quick draft,
Okay.
to see what I'm working on.
You're letting them know,
I'm
we need
letting,
a policy by law,
right,
and she's working on it.
Okay,
And,
this is what it may look like.
right.
Okay,
so I think it's more of like, you need to get your eyes on it tonight.
Yeah.
And then we'll bring it back.
And Charlotte Bates is involved
From the state.
from MSMA, the policy person?
So that isn't a required, so the problem is with MSMA, it's not one of those required, it's not on that required site, which was interesting. Because the only thing that Michelle and I could think of was that not every school has a chronically absent.
Unless you're over 15%.
I'm not sure over 10%.
10%?
10% district, but if one of your schools has 15%, you have to have
And we do.
it.
And which school is that?
But our district
The
is.
district, okay.
And I don't want you to think, again, when I always try to explain something, I don't want you to think it's an excuse.
Right.
Everything, anytime anybody's absent, family trips.
Right.
All of that factors in, so I just want you to understand that.
Sitting-
I'm not making excuses.
Right,
We do
well,
need
it
to
it kind of brings into the discussion like what the elementary schools have done as well, coming back after appointments, Tina. I think we talked about this before, about how important it is to come back. You may have an appointment before, say 8:00, there's still lots of the day left. So if you're done by 9, come back to school. Because if they don't, they're considered absent. And that's an unverified absent, even though they might have a doctor's knowing, no, they left the office at 9:00. So between those hours of 9 and 3, they're, okay,
Chronically absent can be a verified absence,
correct,
but an absence is an absence.
correct.
And so.
They're still not here.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So if I take a 10-day vacation with my family, and then my kid's sick for another 8 days on top of it,
Correct.
my child should be considered chronically absent
That school year.
that school year.
School year.
And remember, it's 10% of, so if we're in the 100th day of school and I've missed 10 days and I've hit that threshold. So it's 10% of this, where you're at in the school year,
So I think we're at what, day
60-ish.
60-ish? So if someone's missed 6 days of school already.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. This will be signed for the policy committee that you want in the year.
Yes.
And I'm thinking for, in the 738, you're biting into the personnel committee. Is there something you can send where it says discussion and feedback? Can you send something?
Yeah, I could, if I can give one.
Is that okay with the personnel
May
chair?
may I have another minute? Okay.
Thank you.
So just quickly, I've given, just for the new members, little rewind, the board was entertaining at one point, examining whether we should change legal firms. And we did an informal RFP a couple of months back. One of the things that came up was, could we give both attorney firms the opportunity to look at the non-local law enforcement policy and see, have them mark it up, and then that would be also used to compare the two entities. Both Drummond Woodson and Brand Isaacson came back with, we'll do whatever you want, Mike, but neither law firm believe we need this policy. So their feedback to us was, I think Kittery Schools is the only place we got a policy from. So I told them, let's not spend the money creating a policy we don't need unless my policy committee wants me to. So that was the feedback. I think if we're gonna ask them to mark up compare a policy, this shouldn't be the one we have them do. So that's where I just want to give you that feedback, and we can do whatever you folks would like to do with this.
So there is still a procedure.
Yeah.
Correct? It's not a form, there is a
With
procedure.
relationship to non-local law enforcement, we have an internal procedure, yes.
Okay.
Standard operating procedure.
No, I make a motion that we just kill this. I was against this to begin with, so don't need it.
I don't know if we need to kill somebody that doesn't exist, but I think that the
Any
feedback,
further discussion of it?
there would be, if we going forward, if there was a need for it, that we would entertain some information on that. April, did you have anything else to add?
No.
You're okay? Okay, last comment from everyone.
I disagree. Thank you. I disagree. I think that with the atmosphere now and with the prohibition of going into schools having been taken away, I think that we really do need this policy for consistency and for protection of students.
I guess I'll just echo what everybody else said earlier, is I'll go with what the lawyer said, and they said we don't need it.
Okay, so next meeting in January, you'll be creating your new policy committee, correct? You'll have some information already on your agenda for whoever decides to remain or join the policy committee. It's 7:41, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
James? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none? Thank you for your hard work, Shelby, and Mike. And thank you for sharing that information with us.